Have you ever felt like you see the world differently, like there's something in you that others can't quite grasp? Do people react to your presence in ways that feel inexplicable, as if they sense something in you that even you can't fully define? If so, you are not alone. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. There are those who walk among the crowd, yet remain apart. Individuals who carry an energy so rare, so intense, that it shifts the very air around them. They are not just different. They are chosen, marked by an unseen force, guided by a purpose beyond what most can comprehend. They live in a world that both reveres and fears their existence. It is a path of great power, but also of deep solitude, for not everyone is ready to face the truth they embody. Throughout history and myth, the chosen ones have been whispered about, souls who carry wisdom beyond their years, who disrupt illusions, who cannot be contained by the mundane. But with such a calling comes a cost: secrecy, isolation, and the burden of knowledge. After all, as the saying goes, a secret known by two is no secret. The weight of what you carry is not meant to be shared with just anyone, for not all are ready to understand it. This journey is yours to claim. It is not about changing who you are to be understood. It is about stepping into the full power of your essence, unapologetically. You are here for something greater. The world may not always understand you, but it will feel your presence, whether it acknowledges it or not. The question is not why you are different. The question is, will you embrace it? There exists a rare kind of presence so potent that it reshapes the atmosphere itself, an unseen weight pressing into the consciousness of those nearby. A force neither loud nor demanding, yet impossible to ignore. It lingers like the aftermath of an untold storm, unsettling the unprepared. Those who carry this essence do not merely enter a space, they redefine it, bending the flow of interaction, altering the rhythm of perception. Their existence resonates at a frequency that strikes deep, evoking a silent reckoning in the hearts of those who cross their path. To stand in proximity to such a presence is to confront an undeniable gravity, one that does not seek attention but claims it nonetheless. This energy, vast and untamed, unsettles those around them, stirring emotions they were never prepared to face. It does not comfort, it awakens. And in that awakening, people glimpse the vastness of what lies within themselves, both the strength they deny and the voids they ignore. Yet this revelation is rarely welcomed. The mind recoils from what it cannot easily define, and so, instinctively, people retreat. It is not a conscious rejection, but an unconscious preservation of the ordinary. In the presence of such force, illusions thin, distractions fade, and all that remains is the rawness of existence itself. Most choose to turn away, seeking refuge in the familiar, for to remain would mean to surrender to a transformation they did not ask for. This silent, unshakable power becomes both a beacon and a barrier, drawing others in only to watch them withdraw in fear of what they might become. And so, even among the multitude, the one who carries this presence stands alone, set apart not by choice, but by the weight of a truth too profound for the world to hold. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. There are those who walk this earth not as wanderers, but as seekers, souls attuned to a frequency that most cannot hear. They move differently, think differently, feel differently. The world may call them loners, but in truth, they are listeners. Listeners of something deeper, something older. They are not lost, they are being led. Like an eagle soaring above the storm, seeing the landscape from heights others fear to climb, these rare individuals understand that not all company is good company, and not all words deserve to be heard. They do not withdraw out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Just as a seed cannot grow when scattered on hardened ground, they know their presence is best reserved for places where their roots can take hold, where their essence is not wasted on shallow soil. In the gatherings of the many, their spirit feels displaced, as if a song meant for the heavens is being played on a broken instrument. Conversations flicker like candlelight in the wind, brief, fragile, lacking the warmth of true illumination. For them, connection is not about numbers, it is about substance. They do not hunger for noise, but for meaning. And when meaning is absent, silence is a welcome sanctuary, not an exile. These individuals are not here to fit in. They are here to stand apart, to be still when the world is restless, to be deep when the world is shallow, to be light when the world is dim. Some will misunderstand their distance, mistake it for arrogance, or call it isolation. But they know better. They have seen what happens when the world tries to shape them into something they are not. They know that not every place can hold the weight of their presence. Not every heart is ready for the truth they carry. So they walk the road less traveled, not because they have to, but because they choose to. They wait for those who speak the unspoken, who recognize the unseen, who do not fear the depth of real connection. And in that waiting, they are not empty, they are not alone. They are simply preparing for the moment when the right souls will meet them at the right time. Because in the end, those who are called are never truly alone. They are simply waiting for the world to catch up. The presence of one who carries an undeniable force is a paradox, both an invitation and a warning, a gravity that pulls while also creating distance. There is something in them that stirs the unspoken, a quiet force that tugs at the edges of human consciousness, disrupting illusions carefully constructed over a lifetime. To encounter such a presence is to stand before a reflection sharper than one is prepared to face. It is not merely admiration that arises, but a volatile mixture of awe and unease, a recognition of something both familiar and foreign. They illuminate not by design, but by nature, casting light in ways that expose what others have long buried beneath layers of distraction. Their very existence calls forth something primal, the yearning for truth, for depth, for unfiltered reality. And yet for many, this calling is met with hesitation. To draw too close is to risk unraveling, to have the fragile structures of self-perception dismantled in a moment of unguarded clarity. And so, admiration turns to hesitation, fascination twists into apprehension. The push and pull of human nature is never more evident than in the presence of one who exists beyond the bounds of superficiality. People step forward, longing for what they sense, only to recoil when faced with the magnitude of its reality. It is not rejection, nor is it acceptance. It is the dance of the uncertain, the unspoken battle between curiosity and fear. And in this delicate balance, the one at the center stands alone, not because they wish to be, but because they were never meant to be contained. Deep calls unto deep at the noise of your waterfalls. All your waves and billows have gone over me. Psalm 42:7. There are some who walk through life not content with the shallow, not satisfied with the surface. They are called to something deeper, something higher. And when you carry that kind of weight, when your soul moves with the tides of something greater, you will find that not everyone can swim in the waters you dwell in. Like a lantern burning in the night, those who see beyond the veil of ordinary existence cast a light that draws others near. Some come seeking warmth, others come out of curiosity, but not all are ready for the fire. The truth is, real connection is not about proximity, it is about resonance. And those who have been set apart know that finding true resonance is like searching for gold in a world that only values glitter. Many will be intrigued by the presence of one who carries depth, but few will stay when they realize what depth requires. It is easy to admire from afar, easy to stand in the glow of something rare, but true relationship, true connection, demands more. It asks for openness, it asks for vulnerability, it asks for transformation. And transformation is uncomfortable. Most people don't want to be undone. They don't want their walls shaken, their illusions shattered, their carefully crafted identities exposed. They prefer the safety of the familiar, the predictability of the surface, where nothing demands too much and everything stays the same. So those who burn with an inner fire, those who refuse to dim their light, those who carry truth too strong to be softened, will find themselves walking alone more often than not. Not because they desire isolation, but because the world does not always know what to do with those who cannot be contained. Their very existence disrupts the illusion, challenges the falsehoods, and forces people to face the deeper questions they spend their lives avoiding. And that kind of presence is not always welcomed. But here's the beauty of it. Solitude is not emptiness. It is a refining ground. It is the place where clarity is sharpened, where power is cultivated, where vision is made clear. And when the right people come along, the ones who have been through their own fires, who have learned to embrace the depth instead of fear it, the connection that forms is unshakable. These are not fleeting friendships, not surface-level exchanges. They are lifelines, anchors in a world that drifts aimlessly. And in that moment, those who have spent their lives standing apart realize something profound. They were never truly alone. They were simply waiting for others who had been called to the same depths. And when they find each other, the waters that once seemed vast and lonely become a sanctuary, a place of power, a place of belonging. You are not here by accident. If you feel the pull, the knowing deep inside that you are chosen, this is your moment. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to unlock deeper insights, exclusive content, and a path that aligns with your divine purpose. This isn't just a contribution, it's a declaration, a step toward who you were meant to be. Answer the call, walk with us, and step fully into your destiny. Your journey begins now. The solitary journey of those marked by purpose is often shaped by unseen battles, conflicts that transcend the physical and weave through the very fabric of existence. These struggles are not waged with weapons that can be held or seen, but through the enduring strength of character, sincerity, and truth, the very principles that define their being. Their presence is not merely an addition to a space, but a transformative force, an undercurrent that shifts reality itself. Wherever they go, they stir the unseen, igniting a subtle yet profound alchemy that challenges the boundaries between illusion and reality, revealing light in places shadowed by deceit. To be in their company is to witness a kind of purification, as they do not simply reflect the world around them, they hold a mirror to it, revealing not only the surface, but the untold depths beneath. In this mirror, the incongruities between our true selves and the personas we have constructed are exposed, laying bare the truths we have spent a lifetime concealing. The discomfort that arises from such exposure is not passive. It ignites a defense mechanism, often in the form of retreat or even confrontation. This confrontation is not of physical force, but of identity itself, as their mere presence threatens the fragile facades many have built. In this way, they become inadvertent warriors, bearing a shield forged not from steel, but from the clarity of their purpose and the unbreakable integrity of their soul. Every step they take forces the world to ask questions it may not be ready to answer, creating a constant tension between what is and what is possible. Their journey, though filled with resistance, becomes a path of transformation, not just for themselves, but for the world they dare to change. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Matthew 6:19-20. Some people build their lives on what is seen, on the things that fade, on the rules and expectations laid out before them, like a well-worn path. But then, there are those who walk a different road. They are not drawn to what glitters, not swayed by the shifting winds of approval. They are not here to fit in. They are here to expand, to break barriers, to step beyond what is expected and into what is destined. It is not an easy road. It never has been. To live in a world shaped by convention, while carrying a spirit designed for transformation, is to always feel like an outsider. Like a stallion meant to run wild, being forced into a narrow stall, they find themselves unable to shrink into the space society has carved out for them. Not because they refuse, but because it simply does not fit. Their mind stretches too far. Their soul reaches too deep. The world tells them to follow the rhythm, but their steps don't match the beat. They do not reject the world, but they see it differently. The structures that hold most people in place feel flimsy in their hands. The conversations that keep others entertained feel like empty echoes of something they are meant to transcend. They do not merely wish for meaning. They need it, the way lungs need air, the way fire needs fuel. They have no choice but to seek out something greater, something that does not demand that they diminish themselves to belong. And so, they step away, not in bitterness, but in clarity, not to isolate, but to protect what is sacred within them. They are drawn instead to places where words carry weight, where truth is not just spoken, but lived. They crave connection, but not the kind that exists only in the shallows. They need depth. They need purpose. They need to stand in spaces where they are not tolerated, but understood. Their very existence is an act of defiance, a refusal to trade authenticity for acceptance, a quiet rebellion against a world that would rather they conform than rise. They are proof that true belonging is not found by bending oneself to fit, but by building a life so full of purpose that it creates a space all its own. And in the end, those who have walked this path long enough know one thing to be true: those who seek depth will always find one another. And when they do, they will know they were never truly alone. There are those whose lives are guided by an unshakable force, an internal summons that is neither gentle nor fleeting, but a resounding command that reverberates through every fiber of their being. This calling is not a mere inclination, but an undeniable force, pulling them towards something far greater than themselves. It is a path requiring devotion, a journey that demands discipline, introspection, and the continuous refinement of their gifts. To them, this purpose is not an option, but a necessity, as intrinsic to their existence as the act of breathing. In the presence of such a profound mission, the distractions of everyday social conventions feel misaligned, like echoes of a distant world they no longer inhabit. Engaging in idle conversation or shallow engagements feels like pouring water into a vessel with no bottom, energy wasted on pursuits that fail to nourish the spirit. And so, they gravitate towards solitude, not as an escape, but as a deliberate act of preparation. Within silence, they find clarity. Within stillness, they sharpen their vision. Every moment spent in reflection fortifies their resolve, allowing them to channel their essence into the work they were destined to fulfill. This separation is not rejection. It is alignment. The noise of the world is too cluttered for the whispers of destiny to be heard, and so they step away, not to be apart from others, but to be fully present in their purpose. Their path requires sacrifice, but in that sacrifice, they discover the rarest of freedoms, the ability to walk a road unburdened by illusion, guided solely by the force that called them forth in the first place. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Sometimes the loudest voice in your life is not the one shouting from the outside, it's the one whispering from within. And if you never slow down, never step away from the crowd, you'll never hear it. See, the world will tell you that solitude is loneliness, that if you're walking alone, something must be wrong. But that's not the truth. The truth is, some roads must be walked alone. Some journeys demand separation, not as punishment, but as preparation. Think of an eagle. It doesn't fly in flocks like sparrows or pigeons. It doesn't need the noise of the many to validate its existence. It soars alone, not because it has been rejected, but because it was designed for higher altitudes. The winds that would shake the smaller birds only lift the eagle higher. And in the same way, those who are set apart are not meant to stay where it's crowded. Their wings were built for something greater. To embrace this calling is not to step into exile, it is to step into empowerment. But that shift can only happen when solitude is met with intention. It's not just about being alone, it's about what you do in that space. The ones who grow from their solitude are the ones who use it to listen, to learn, to cultivate the depths of who they are. It is in these moments, when the world is quiet, when distractions fade, that clarity comes. Self-acceptance is not just knowing who you are, it is owning it. It is standing in the fullness of your essence, refusing to shrink for the sake of convenience. It is looking at what makes you different and celebrating it, not as a burden, but as a gift. The world doesn't need more copies, more echoes, more watered-down versions of truth. It needs those who are willing to stand firm in their authenticity. And here's the thing. The more you embrace your uniqueness, the more you will attract those who see you, who understand you, who speak the same language of depth and purpose. Not everyone will resonate with your journey, and that's okay. The right ones will. And when they do, you'll realize that walking apart was never about being alone. It was about making space for something greater. So don't fear the quiet. Don't resist the solitude. It is not your enemy, it is your altar. It is where the next chapter of your purpose is being written. And when the time comes, you will emerge from that place not diminished, but strengthened, ready to rise, ready to soar. Yet even those who thrive in their own company seek the warmth of kindred spirits, others who share a hunger for depth, truth, and purpose. Though rare, such connections exist, waiting to be discovered in the spaces where authenticity flourishes. Finding these individuals requires patience and an openness to unconventional paths, as they often dwell beyond the boundaries of traditional social structures. Whether through artistic circles, spiritual communities, or conversations that transcend the mundane, the search for meaningful connection is less about seeking and more about resonance, like signals across vast distances, waiting for alignment. Beyond connection, solitude itself is a fertile ground for transformation. Those who learn to harness their time alone can transmute it into boundless creativity and self-evolution, channeling their insights into art, philosophy, or spiritual exploration. In this way, their journey is not defined by loneliness, but by an unwavering commitment to self-discovery and contribution. Rather than a void, isolation becomes a crucible, a place where raw potential is refined, where vision is sharpened, and where the individual steps fully into the vastness of their own existence. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. There are those who try to blend in, who shrink themselves to fit into the mold the world has handed them. And then, there are those who were never meant to fit in at all, those who stand apart, not by accident, but by design. These are the ones who carry something different, something unshakable, something that makes others stop and take notice, even if they don't understand why. It can feel lonely at first. When you've been given a light that burns brighter, it can seem like the darkness around you pushes back even harder. But light was never meant to be hidden. It was never meant to dim itself to make others comfortable. A lighthouse does not apologize for shining. A city on a hill does not lower itself so it can disappear into the background. And just like that, those who carry truth, depth, and purpose cannot help but stand apart. But here's what many don't realize. Solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. It is where the greatest transformation takes place. When the distractions fade, when the voices of the crowd are no longer dictating your direction, that is where you begin to hear the voice that truly matters. That is where your purpose begins to take shape. You are not set apart to suffer. You are set apart to grow. The more you embrace this path, the more you start to see it for what it really is. Not isolation, but revelation. You stop looking for a place to belong in spaces that were never built for you. Instead, you create new spaces, spaces where authenticity is not just accepted, but celebrated. You stop watering yourself down to be understood by those who are never meant to grasp the fullness of who you are. Instead, you pour your energy into those who see you, who recognize the same depth within themselves. And as this transformation unfolds, something incredible happens. The very thing that once made you feel alone becomes the reason you are sought after. The world may not always understand those who walk in truth, but it needs them. It needs those who refuse to live in illusion, who tear down the masks and stand firm in something real. Your presence itself becomes a challenge, an invitation for others to look deeper, to see beyond the surface, to question the things they've taken for granted. So don't fear the silence. Don't shrink to fit in. Don't mistake solitude for emptiness. This path is not about loss. It is about discovery. and those who are bold enough to walk it will not only find their own purpose, but will light the way for others to do the same. As this journey unfolds, it carries a responsibility far greater than the self. It is an invitation to others, a call to step forward and share the wisdom born from walking this road. The impact of those who dare to live authentically ripples far beyond their own lives, offering a beacon for those still struggling to embrace their depth in a world that often demands shallowness. The courage to stand in one's own essence is not only an individual triumph, but a gift to the collective, proving that authenticity is not a burden, but a force that liberates. For those who see themselves reflected in this path, the message is clear. Let your voice be heard. Speak of your journey not for validation, but to light the way for those who have yet to find the strength to do the same. In the act of sharing, solitude transforms into connection, not one bound by convention, but by the unshakable thread of human experience. Each story becomes a thread woven into a larger tapestry, proof that even in moments of perceived isolation, no one truly walks alone.